So we're gonna go ahead and pick up now on this video where we're gonna replace the valve cover gasket and finish all the vacuum line and the coolant hoses that attach to the intake manifold. And so let's get the video started. Alright, now we're ready to replace the valve cover gaskets. You have gaskets in here. And we've got our new ones. They pretty much just press in. And then we have our main gasket that goes on the outside of the cover. Pretty much all valve cover gaskets have these little tabs of this extra rubber, and that goes towards the cam gear. One thing you're going to notice on this one, there is a gasket maker in the corners, and that means the person that put the valve cover gasket on last time did it right, because these corners always tend to leak. So we're going to scrape this out and put a little blob of gasket maker in all the corners. And you also want to clean off the surface, that way it's fresh and it's not covered in, oil or any debris. Now we're going to squeeze some of that gasket maker into the corners. And if your gasket doesn't want to stay on when you flip it over, you can always put little drops of gasket maker in here. Just to help keep it in place. Now with every fresh gasket change, you want to replace these. And you don't want to forget to hook your ground wire up to this stud. And we'll do that once we get the engine installed into the car. Alright, let's tighten our spark plugs back down. I removed them when I did the timing. These spark plugs could probably be replaced. So, Patrick, if you're watching this, let me know if you want me to replace them. So I do want to mention that I did do the valve lash. I just didn't record it because I have a video on how to do that. I'll put a card up like right now. Alright, before it gets too late, let's go ahead and start throwing on all our coolant hoses. So I'm going to get those done before I put the engine into the car. Alright, we have this one that comes off of the idle air control valve that goes into this. I think it's the fast idle. And that one fits on there without any problems. But I do expect to have a problem with this other one, because this one's supposed to connect here, but it won't reach. And that is because of the Skunk 2 intake manifold. So I found a longer hose, but I don't know if it's for coolant. I don't know. So we're going to use it anyway. Now we have our elbow or U hose, whatever, that goes from the thermostat housing to the intake manifold. And we're going to spray some silicone lubricant on here so it slides on nice. And I'm going to try to get all the clips like facing upward. That way they're easy to get to when the engine's in the car, in case any of these hoses need to be replaced. That port is so close to this runner on the intake that I can't even get that in there. So I'm going to replace this with a worm clamp. I prefer these anyway. That clearance in there is really tight. Now we have one more hose that wasn't quite long enough, which was this one. It goes on the other end of the fast idle and then plugs into here. So we found another, or we pulled this off of the other engine. And then if you remember, this car has a coolant flush system. So the hose that goes from here to the heater core has been cut to insert that flush system tap. So we're going to put this back on here. That feels really spongy. This probably should be replaced. Now we have our fuel line. Now normally this doesn't have a bend on it like this. It attaches here, but because we don't have that hose, this will work. But I'd recommend if you could find a multi-port EF fuel line, or one from like an EG, or probably even an EK, that would work. And we have the gasket that's, or not gasket, but the crush washer that's on there. And we have this crush washer, and then we have this little thing. I don't know what this thing does. All right, so you want to use this instead of the one from the dual point, because this won't work. It won't even screw on. I think the threads are different, and plus I don't think it's deep enough. Yeah, I'm wrong. It is deep enough, but I think the threads are different, and it won't even tighten down. But you want to not forget the crush washer on both sides, before and after. And then this thing, don't know what it does, but put it back. And we also have our throttle bracket. I'm not sure exactly where it needs to be, whether it needs to be up like this, or this way, or one over. So I'm going to leave that until we get the engine in the car. Now we have vacuum lines. We got one from the fuel pressure regulator. It's going to go right here. And we have another one that will connect to the back right here. But if you remember in previous episodes, this hose that goes to the charcoal canister is supposed to hook into a vacuum line, but there isn't one. So I could try to get it here, but it's kind of a little bit too big. So I'm going to deal with that at another time. When I go to the junkyard, I might find a throttle body that has that port up here for this, like I showed you on the Beagle in the last video. And I believe the last piece of the puzzle is the PVC hose. So on the old manifold, it was over here on the driver's side where it connected. On the Skunk 2, the hole for the PVC port is over here on the other side. The problem is the airbox is right here, and the hole for it is over here. And it's not in line with that. So I'm going to stick it over here and probably zip tie it or something, make it not flop around. We have our PVC. Alright, so, you know, we got a little bit accomplished. Nothing that I really wanted. I wanted to get the engine in today, but that didn't happen. But we got some more small details buttoned up, and you know, it's stuff that needed to be done, and I didn't really get started until late today anyway. I was just struggling to get out here working on it. But hopefully tomorrow we'll get the engine put in the wagon. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you all in the next video.